Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Awaken the World. We are live right now. It is 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, if you're on this planet. It is the 16th of March already. Time is flying, spring is springing, and we have light behind us. Wonderful. The prison escape right now. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, look at all that beautiful sunlight still. You know, you can tell spring is coming. It's staying lighter, longer. It just feels nice. We went for a walk, you know, amongst the plethora of things I had to do today. And first comment I see, we have Lori here. Hello, Lori. I don't usually get to say hi to you. Hi. And that's the last comment that I'll see, but Kelly will see them all. So that's the good thing about this. So first of all, as always, let me express my love for each and every one of you. You're exactly where you need to be. You're exactly the person you need to be right now. And all you have to do is let life happen. And we're going to talk a lot about that tonight. This is a big one. And as Rumi says, the prison door is already wide open. Or as he said in another one of his poems, the key to the prison door is already hanging around your neck. Now, the thing about that prison and the reason why we're going to call it the prison escape is because, of course, you built the prison. And the prison is our identification with form, as well as our perceptions. And our perceptions developed along a certain path. Now, I do want to add this. If you've never seen the animated movie Soul, watch it. Kelly and I just finished it. You know, we watch movies in like 10 or 15 minute snippets. You know, we don't really like to sit long term. As a matter of fact, I'm worried I won't get back up again. So we like to keep moving. But we enjoy watching it that way. We try to leave it at a particular spot so that there's interest. And it's like coming back to a new episode, except it takes 6 times to get through the movie. So if you haven't seen Soul, watch it. Kelly, don't give anything away. Beautiful, beautiful little movie, though. So the reason we call it the prison is, of course, we build our own prison. And the prison is our identity. Literally. So the name of Garen's prison would be Garen if I didn't bust out of it a long time ago. But the over-identification with the label you have and the egoic self are the prison walls. Now, the prison walls will have a varying thickness and strength and consistency based on your perceived life experience. And the reason we say perceived is because no experience is in of itself anything more than empty. It just is. It isn't the experience that does it alone. The experience is neither good nor bad. It's neither positive or negative. It's just experience. But the perception of that experience is where the emptiness becomes filled. And you can fill that towards a direction in your life that would be in alignment with the truth of your existence. But more often than not, we fill a direction that is not in alignment with the truth of our existence. So, way long time ago, when you first came into this world and arrived kicking and screaming and quite in a state of shock from all of a sudden being physical and finding yourself a sense of being within a body, being here in the physical realm, even though you weren't attached to that and didn't form that self for a number of years to come. So in that state of being, and as you progressed through the early parts of your life with that level of pure awareness before the development of your egoic self to its fruition, you became aware that what you knew about existence and what you were perceiving and what others were saying to you and how you were watching what they did around you wasn't matching up. So as a response to society, as a response to family, as a response to the environment, the personality begins to form. That personality is really nothing more than the conglomerate of life experience, but not the experience, but what you had to think about the experience. This is the rub. This is where the prison walls, the thickness of them, the height of them, the material, the difficulty in getting through. That's why I say head for the open door. All these walls are built upon our perceptions of our experience. And the person you find yourself today may still be sitting inside your own prison with the open door in front of you. And the real question that we have to ask is, why don't people walk out their door? What stops you from leaving your own prison of your own perceptions, the way you've chosen to interpret your life? And the reason, of course, is that egoic self, which initially was nothing more than a tool to be used here, supplanted the being. Because you have free will. Everything in creation has free will. And the being that you are, seeing the littleness and smallness and unknowingness of the egoic self that it is participating with, allows that egoic self to take over, knowing that it will lead and guide the journey back to itself, one day, one life. So that being that you truly are gives over to the egoic self. And we say that these days, around somewhere between the ages of 10 and 13 or so, that ego becomes fully crystallized, fully in the forefront. All vestigial memory of what you truly are has faded deep, 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 deep into the background. Really deep. Like super deep. Even deeper yet. Huh. So, this egoic self begins to clad itself with its perceptions, because of course it's formless and it's not even really real, and it is fully aware of that at its core. The biggest fear of ego is indeed death, but it's not the death that we usually equate with death, like the guy with the sickle and the awful black robe outfit that in the heat of the summer would be totally miserable. It's not that sort of death. The ego is even more worried about the death of its control. It's always afraid that the being behind it, watching it, observing it, generating it, is going to take back that control one day. So it girds itself with its perceptions on its own experience. It literally clothes itself and becomes thicker. And it absorbs all of that experience as happened to me. I own those experiences. They belong to the ego. They're mine. And therefore, they form part of the identity of the egoic self. You know, I once had a lady come into the Grassroots Health Hut, and she was a little shocked when I said to her, you know, you told me your story from 10 years ago last time you come in here. I don't want to hear it. Your life is right now. It's not 10 years ago. Oh, well, I'm over those things. No, you're not. Because if you were over them, you wouldn't bring them up every time you walk in my door, which tells me you're thinking about them all the time. Part of your story, and you've taken on identity through that. You believe you are the victim, or you are the spurned lover, or you are the hated child, or the misloved child. Whatever it is, you've taken that on, and you took it on to reinforce your sense of self, believe it or not, because ego doesn't care what the cloak is, doesn't care whether it's miserable or not, it just wants to be in control. And you build those prison walls with your perceptions of your experience. Now, the reason we don't walk through the door are fear and guilt, the two age-old enemies to all of humankind. That which is generated by the egoic sense of self. And the really big fear is, who are you when everything that you are today falls away? Who are you when you're no longer willing to take the abuse? What does that mean? Who are you when you're no longer going to be the wife or husband of someone else, or the lover of someone else? Who are you when your family won't talk to you and disowns you? These are all the fears. The fear of ego somehow losing itself, and it will scramble for a cloak to get as quick as possible. And what do? We tend to invite people into our lives that support our deepest, truest opinions about ourselves. And it happens quite unconsciously. We don't understand that the circumstances in our life are a product of our producing them. And that's not to be blamed. It isn't a blame game. But you do have the ability to take back that responsibility. The ability to choose how to respond to life. Now, there's a lot tied up in guilt as well. And that guilt extends to, well, how will those people who I have looked after survive if I don't look after them anymore? That's just one example. There's many examples that you have to face when you're trying to leave that prison of your own perceptions. So how do we escape? How do we get out of this prison? Well, a lot of times we can't walk through the door. We're just not there yet. There's too much fear or too much guilt. There's only really two other ways. The one way is you just wait for this life to be over and you pleasantly die. And you come back and you start all over again. That would seem like a waste of time, though, when there's beautiful scenery just outside the walls. The other way, the tried and true way, is to start by re-examining your existence. And you've kind of got to find the rough time when the prison began to be built in earnest. And if you don't know where that is in your life, if you sit with yourself and begin to work backwards on paper, you'll begin to hone in on it, and you will find it there. You're going to find a circumstance or an experience that changed your view from one of freedom and joy and unlimitlessness and all those other positive, wonderful, truthful things of our existence. Something was there. And you succumbed to what you saw in some way. You took it on as something negative, something bad, something that shouldn't have happened. Now, on one level, we can say, sure, all those things may be true in one tiny, itty-bitty sense. But you need to look straight into my eyes and listen to this very carefully. There is not a single experience that you have gone through that has not been out of a deep, unwavering love for the being that you are and the universe's desire to make you aware of that being that you are fully. That's why you're here. You don't have a purpose, per se. Your purpose is being carried out in every breath you take. In every waking and sleeping moment, your purpose is being actioned. And that purpose is to become aware of yourself fully. God getting to know itself all over again. Every single piece of that consciousness, that divine consciousness, becoming self-aware and then aware of the one self that it is. The joyful reunion that is always existing, that union that is always here, between the apparent wave and the ocean manifesting the wave. So you have to begin with your own perceptions. And I know a lot of people are going to say, man, I was hoping you'd give me something more like, dynamite, C4, an RPG, a tank. I mean, the list goes on and on. A magic portal to fairyland. We can do that. The bottom line, though, is that even if you run away artificially, and we try and do that over and over again in one way or another, we artificially run away. We try a new venue. We move to a new location. We physically change where we live, what we do perhaps. Maybe we change our diet even. We do a lot of things that are maybe really healthy for us. But all of you is still there with you. And sooner or later, if you don't deal with those perceptions, you're going to start building the prison again. More than likely, you have a chain and you've been dragging it all the way here. No matter what it is that's occurring in your existence, it is there to wake you unto yourself. A lot of times, in what we perceive physically, that can mean the dissolution of a relationship. It can mean changing locales, not to escape oneself, but to pursue something that one's always wanted to pursue. It all has to start, though, but changing the way you view everything that's happened to you. And, I speak from experience, okay? Not only was I, raped by my own father, and my sister was as well when we were, 5 years old and younger. Apparently it started around 3. Then I had my mother commit suicide, my sister die, all my family die. I was alone in the world, no family at all. And then I was killed and then killed again. Most of my bones broken. Tried to take my own life over the sheer depression of the way people choose to live in this world. My very early waking days. The list goes on and on and on, and I have no spine left. I have no teeth left. But I got to tell you, I don't regret nor look at any of it as ever being anything but magical. Absolutely magical. Like I said in that other post, we live in this relativistic, dualistic universe. You have to learn to love the pain as much as you love the joy. Because it's the same thing. It's the same energy. It's a choice that you and you alone get to make for you. It's not a choice you can push on anyone else. You can't make anyone else get it. It's like trying to pull fish out of the water and expecting them to breathe in the air and going, why can't you breathe? Well, they haven't developed the lungs yet. Put it back. It's quite happy swimming around where it's at. Life isn't about the other people around you. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but it's not. It's about you. All of it is about you. And when you really, really get that, you're going to explode those prison walls away from yourself. And you do that by simply adjusting your view. No matter what's happened to me, no matter how much pain has been there, no matter the number of times I've cried tears in pain, in perceived suffering, in perceived loss over and over and over again, it has been one wild, joyous ride. That's the power you have, the power of your own perception. And you know what? Even me saying that sends this vibration of just love and joy right back at me again. It literally blows me away. Why? Because my whole body is saying, dong, yeah, you're in alignment with the truth of who you are. You get it. Life isn't here punishing you at all. Life is manifesting through you in every moment, in every breath. And all you have to do is be willing to change your point of view, but you can't be holding on to the shore in certain areas of your life as you're trying to change your point of view. You've got to be willing to step back and say, okay, if I wasn't me and there was someone else right here, right now, and I had been watching all these years, what would I do? And I'm not saying that means you leave your partner tomorrow or you walk out on your job tomorrow or anything else, but it means you begin to evaluate whether you are actually living the life that you want to live. At your highest level, at every level of your being? Or are you groveling for attention from somebody? Or trading what you perceive as happy times a lot of the time, for really bad times, a little too often, perhaps. Perhaps there's violence involved, and that violence comes in waves and grows. When you're willing to step back and take an honest look at the situation again, what do you know you need to do for yourself? And again, it's not about the other person. It's about you being true to you. It's about you being willing to speak your truth with conviction and compassion and openness. But most of all, conviction. In other words, you fully believe in yourself. And as long as you're attached to your judgments of the experiences that you perceive you've had, you will stay small, locked in that cell that you made. The cell that protects you at the same time that it slowly kills you. You may be safe behind those walls, but you're breathing stale air. And you're not getting the light of the sun on you anymore. I'm going to veer away for a moment before we come back to this and take us a tiny bit maybe off topic, but also very much on topic. One of our group members had said, I had shared a post about, maybe it's time we stop and readdress how we view success. And right now we live in a world where society views those who have grown ultra rich on the backs of the poor as being successful, to the point that we idolize them. I would say that the only measure of success, if we must use the word at all, okay, because every life is a successful life. Every life. The only reason we choose that as success is because we worship that damn god of money above all else, and any of its top acolytes who are showered with so much of that god of money, we worship them too. And we find ourselves thinking we're somehow less because we don't have that abundance, apparently. We do need to shift what the societal view of success is. But you can't do it at the society. It's got to begin with you. You, right there, or right, I can't even point. Up here somewhere, wherever your head is. Sorry if I poked you in the eye. It begins with you. Likely you've fallen into the societal viewpoints of success, and that's part of the problem too, because that also is forming your perceptions. It's forming the judgments that you make on yourself. I would say, if you want to be successful, if you want to know true success, get your perceptions in line with the truth of who you are. Just try it. The beautiful thing about this is you don't even necessarily have to believe it fully at first. But if you pay attention to your body and you begin to go down that negative road, and you're feeling crappy about yourself, and you think yourself as not worthy or not valuable or not capable, stop yourself and just say, I am capable. Even if you don't believe it, even if you think you're lying to yourself, say it. and feel the response that your body's going to give you. At first, that response is going to be kind of neutral, but it's going to feel a hell of a lot better than I'm not capable. And if you do it for just a few days, catch it a few times, you're going to begin to feel that hint of your body saying, now you're starting to get it. The biggest thing that we face that causes this anomaly in our perceptions, and Kelly's been guilty of this so many times, is comparing ourselves to the people around us. Comparing ourselves to our supposed peers. You don't have any peers. There's no such thing. You can say, well, I'm human just like everyone else, and I would say, you only think you're human. This isn't the first place you've ever been, and it won't be the last. There is nothing in creation that compares to you. Why? Because you're a one of a kind. In the 13.8 apparent billion years of this physical universe, you're the only you that's ever shown up. And in my case, thank God. And when this you goes, God hope it be soon, there'll never be another one. Never. So who would Garen be compared to? Who does Garen compare himself to? Nobody. And neither should you. You're not here to compare yourself to your neighbor who maybe worships that god of money a lot more than you're willing to. There is no comparison. That's not free will, is not comparing oneself to another. That's trying to enslave your own self again. You are a one-of-a-kind, unique being, and there's nothing you need to do to prove it to anybody. You just have to start believing it in the core of yourself. You have to start knowing it. That you are a one-of-a-kind and that you have a gift. And that gift is yours to offer the world. And it doesn't have to earn money. I don't earn a damn cent doing this. And I don't care. I am abundant. The gift of giving, the gift of sharing whatever your talent with another is, of putting it out there in the world, is the reward for you and all of creation. But if you let your experiences be judged by what society says, judged by that apparent wounded self that you carry around, which isn't even real. You know how easy it is to fix all those wounds? To understand that you weren't wounded at all. And that every single thing that happened to you, whether you liked it or not, no matter what your judgment was or not, was truly, absolutely, unequivocally done out of pure, unadulterated, wondrous, joyful love for you as God incarnate. Experience itself. Having the opportunity to know itself from a point of view like no other. That's how you break out of that prison. There's no other tried and true method except death. And it's okay if you choose to stay in prison. It's okay if you can't break out of those walls. It's okay if you can't stride confidently through that gate. Begin by placing your big toe across the line and see what happens. If it gets cut off, don't worry, you got 9 more to go. Don't give up yet. I promise you that if you're willing to adjust the way you view your life, if you're willing to look at every experience as a teacher, if you're willing to see every yelling face in front of you as an opportunity to choose for yourself what you want for you in this moment, and do so compassionately, with conviction, you will see your life begin to rapidly change. So within, so without. As above, as below. When you get into that higher headspace with yourself, when you connect yourself back into that flow again, where you are waking up grateful to be alive and grateful for the experiences that you're having. Now, this is where the nasty part comes. It is a fallacy to think that you're being some sort of spiritual better person by hanging around someone who's clearly abusive to you. That's more about your own fear in leaving. There is no time when your perception of someone is that you deserved what they've done to you, that your thinking is in alignment with the truth of who you are. You may have had to have the experience, granted, but that experience was given to you to give you an opportunity to stand for you, to choose for yourself, to define for yourself your own boundaries. Now, people get really confused about boundaries because boundaries can become walls much too easily. Boundaries are a moving, active item, if you will, that you must create according to your level of consciousness. So in other words, if you're very anxious and you struggle when people get too close to you, you need to have a boundary that's 3 feet away from you to feel comfortable. But to always have that boundary and allow it to become a wall will not serve you. You are an evolving being. Perhaps a month from now, you shrink that boundary by 1 inch. And then a month later, you shrink that boundary again by 1 inch. And you keep going until the boundaries disappear. But where you are right now, if your perceptions are not 100% pointed to the truth of your existence, you're going to need boundaries. Those boundaries are not to block you from life. Those boundaries are to allow you to get your head straight, to work through your misconceived perceptions of your existence and to get them turned around. What that means in your life right now, how you're going to go about that, is a personal thing. It's something that you must deal with. But know that Kelly and I are both here to support you on your journey, whatever that may be. As with all things, I am relaying my knowing, my experience, my wisdom to you. If it does not ring true to you, if it does not make sense to you, don't consider taking it on for yourself. Choose for you. If it suits you, it's yours to have. Much love tonight. Namaste. May you find the RPG of your highest self and blow those walls away. And the easiest way is to simply realize that in every moment, from before the dawn of time, till after the end of all creation, you are bathed in, swimming in, and made of that divine love. Absolutely eternal, beyond all harm. Here having a magnificent experience we would call physical life. Again, all my love, namaste. Have a beautiful Tuesday night. We'll talk again very soon.